As the holiday season neared its end, my husband abruptly mentioned divorce. I agreed without hesitation and even relinquished custody of our two children. On the evening of December 28th, as Michael slid the divorce papers across the table, the beef stew he adored continued to simmer gently on the stove. Our children were in the living room, absorbed in cartoons, their bright laughter drifting through the slightly open door. His face remained composed, as casual as if he were merely planning tomorrow's grocery list rather than dissolving our 12-year marriage. "Kate, let's divorce. I'll take the kids, you keep the house, and I'll add $100,000 as compensation." The words came out so fluidly and effortlessly that it was clear he had practiced them countless times. I lifted the pen and signed my name on the document without bothering to read the details. "Fine. All I want is my freedom." Michael froze. Every argument, explanation, and comforting phrase he had carefully prepared suddenly became irrelevant. He would never suspect that I had been quietly waiting for him to utter those exact words for the past 3 years. Disclaimer: this story is entirely fictional. Any similarity to real events or people is coincidental. As Kate carried the final dish to the table, the wall clock struck precisely 7 p.m. Roasted chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, and garlic sautéed green beans, all cherished favorites of her husband Michael and their children. "Dinner's ready," she called toward the living room. Leo, their 8-year-old son, and Mia, their 6-year-old daughter, dashed over and scrambled into their usual chairs. Michael emerged slowly from his home office, phone still in hand, forehead creased as he studied the screen. "Did you wash your hands?" Kate asked the children. "Yes," they replied in unison. Michael settled at the head of the table, setting his phone beside his plate. Kate placed a piece of chicken on his plate, then served generous portions to the children. 12 years of this routine had turned it into pure instinct. "Dad, are we visiting Grandpa and Grandma for New Year's?" Leo asked between bites. "Yes, we'll head over on New Year's Day," Michael answered, tasting the potatoes. "Did Mom get you new clothes?" "Yes," Mia piped up. "Mom got me a sparkly red dress. It's really pretty." Kate smiled warmly at her daughter. "Wear it to Grandma and Grandpa's. They'll adore it." The dinner conversation flowed with gentle harmony. Michael inquired about the children's school progress, Kate updated him on holiday preparations, and the kids shared lively stories from their recent days. This was Kate's world. Married 12 years, a stay-at-home mother for 8, her days centered entirely on her husband, children, and home. She rose at 6 a.m. daily to prepare breakfast, drive the children to school, shop for groceries, cook, clean, collect them after classes, assist with homework, make dinner, and tuck them into bed. The same rhythm repeated endlessly. After the meal, Michael retreated to his office, as always, citing work that needed attention. Kate cleared the table while the children helped wipe it down, a chore she deliberately encouraged, despite the smudges they usually left behind. The dishwasher hummed in the background. She mechanically wiped the counters, her eyes drifting through the window to the countless glowing windows in the distant high-rises. Each light represented a household, a life. Some joyful, some troubled, most, like hers, simply carried on, neither wonderful nor miserable, just existing. "Mom, can I watch a show for a bit?" Mia ran in, tilting her small face upward. "Have you finished your reading homework?" "Yes, Leo helped me with the tricky words." Kate dried her hands. "Half an hour, then bath and bed by 9 o'clock. "Okay." Mia scampered happily back to the living room. Kate finished tidying the kitchen and moved to the laundry room to fold clothes. The December air outside was sharp and freezing. The towels on the line had turned rigid. She carried them inside, still carrying the crisp scent of winter. Michael's dress shirts, the children's soft fleece jackets, her own yoga pants, all blended together. Much like this family appeared united on the surface, yet each piece retained its distinct feel and role. At 9 sharp, Kate guided the children to their baths. Leo managed independently now, but Mia still required assistance. Steam filled the bathroom as Kate gently soaped her daughter's warm, small frame. "Mom, why is Dad always in his office?" Mia asked suddenly. "Dad has work to do." "But Chloe's dad doesn't stay in his office. Chloe says he builds Legos with her after work." Kate's hands stilled briefly. "Every daddy's job is different." Mia nodded vaguely, then became distracted by the floating bubbles. After drying their hair, reading a bedtime story, and tucking them in, it was nearly 10 o'clock. Kate quietly shut the children's door and paused in the hallway, drawing a slow breath. Only now did the day truly belong to her, even if just for a fleeting few hours, usually spent straightening the house or preparing for tomorrow. Michael remained in his office, light spilled from under the door, and she could hear his low voice on the phone, soft, warm, carrying a genuine smile she rarely heard directed at her or the children anymore. Kate lingered outside the door for a moment, but chose not to knock. Instead, she walked to the master bedroom. From the bottom drawer of the nightstand, she retrieved a journal. Its black moleskin cover showed worn edges. Michael had given it to her the year they married. "Katie," he had said then, "write down whatever crosses your mind. One day when we're old, we'll read it together. It'll be wonderful." Kate opened the notebook. Page after page held neat, dense handwriting, not tender memories, but meticulous records, budgets, plans, and unflinchingly honest reflections. The most recent entry was dated December 19th, 2025. She picked up the pen and added a single line beneath the previous entry. "Everything proceeded as usual today. He took 2 calls this evening, stepping away from me each time. Mia asked why Daddy never plays with her anymore. I couldn't find the right words." After closing the journal, she slid it back into its hiding place beneath a small stack of books. She then went to the bathroom, washed her face, changed into pajamas, and slipped beneath the covers. Above the headboard hung their wedding photograph. In it, she was 24, radiant with a wide, luminous smile and eyes sparkling with hope. Michael's arm rested around her shoulders. He, too, looked genuinely content. 12 years had passed, and the image had softened and faded, much like the love it once captured. Kate switched off the lamp and lay in the darkness, eyes open. She heard the office door open, Michael's measured footsteps, the guest bathroom faucet running. For 3 years, they had slept in separate rooms. His explanation had always been late work and consideration for her sleep. The guest room door closed with a soft click. Kate turned onto her side and shut her eyes. She didn't need to check his phone to know he was almost certainly messaging another woman right now. Jessica, perhaps, or someone whose name she had yet to learn. 3 years earlier, she had first noticed the signs, late-night texts that were too affectionate, the faint trace of unfamiliar perfume on his collar, the sudden surge of weekend office emergencies. When she confronted him, he had dismissed it as a harmless work friendship, insisting she was reading too much into innocent messages. Kate had chosen to accept the explanation, or at least to act as though she did. At the time, she had no job, no independent income, and 2 very young children. She could not risk shattering their family. But no one can pretend forever. A year ago, she began to prepare in silence. She enrolled in an online accounting certification course and studied faithfully each night after everyone else was asleep. She quietly reconnected with college friends, asking discreet questions about job openings. She returned to the treadmill, shedding the last stubborn remnants of pregnancy weight. The changes were subtle, almost invisible, and Michael noticed none of them. In his mind, she remained the compliant domestic wife who managed children and household, but little else. That perception suited Kate perfectly. Outside, the wind strengthened. The forecast promised snow overnight. Kate mentally reviewed the New Year's gifts for her in-laws, the brunch menu she would prepare, the gift cards already purchased for the children. With these thoughts drifting through her mind, she finally fell asleep. December 29th arrived. Kate rose at 6 a.m. as always to make breakfast. For once, Michael was awake early, seated at the dining table, staring at his phone with a distant expression. "I've packed everything for your parents' house," Kate said, setting a plate of scrambled eggs in front of him. "A bottle of good scotch for your dad, a cashmere scarf for your mom, and the gift cards for the kids. Does that sound all right?" Okay," Michael replied without lifting his eyes. "Did you sleep well?" Kate asked, pouring herself orange juice. It was fine. He finally looked up. Something unreadable flickered in his gaze. "Kate, tonight, after the children are asleep, let's talk." Her hand stilled above the glass. "Talk about what?" "We'll discuss it then." He stood. "I need to head to the office for a few hours. I'll be back this afternoon." He ate quickly, shrugged on his coat, and left. Kate watched from the window as his car pulled out of the subdivision and vanished into the morning mist. A quiet certainty settled over her. The moment she had long anticipated was finally arriving. That evening, after the children were in bed, Michael knocked on the master bedroom door. He carried a slim folder and wore an intentionally solemn expression. "Sit," he said, indicating the small armchair near the window. Kate sat, hands folded in her lap, assuming the calm, attentive posture she had perfected over years, the one that always put him at ease. "Kate, we've been married 12 years, he began, voice weighted. "You've worked hard, raising the children and keeping the house running. I recognize that." She remained silent, waiting. He drew a slow breath. "But I feel our marriage has serious problems. We no longer share interests or meaningful conversation. Every day it's only the kids and the house. We barely speak beyond logistics. A marriage like this is painful for both of us." Kate lowered her gaze. "So," Michael extended the folder, "this is a divorce agreement I had prepared. Please read it. The terms are fair, more than fair. You keep the house, and I'll pay you an additional $100,000 in compensation. I'll take custody of the children. With my stable job and income, I can provide them with better opportunities and education." Kate accepted the folder but did not open it immediately. She knew this day was inevitable. She simply hadn't expected it to arrive so close to New Year's. "Who is she?" she asked evenly. "What woman?" "The one who finally made you decide to end the marriage, Jessica, or someone I haven't discovered yet?" His expression tightened for a fraction of a second. "That isn't the point. The point is that our feelings for each other have faded. Staying together would only prolong the suffering for both of us. Kate, you're still young. With the house and the money, you can rebuild, start fresh." The words were almost scripted, lines she had heard in countless films, read in articles, and now heard in her own living room. The gentle, self-sacrificing speech men deliver when they want to leave, framed as kindness, as liberation. "Do the children know?" she asked. "Not yet. I wanted to speak with you first, then we can explain them to them gradually." His tone softened. "Kate, I know this hurts, but a clean break is kinder in the long run. We both deserve real happiness." She opened the agreement and skimmed the pages. The terms were indeed generous. The house, valued at roughly $500,000, plus $100,000 in cash. For a woman who had not earned a paycheck in 12 years, it was more than reasonable. Custody of the children was awarded to Michael, with Kate granted visitation rights twice a month and the option of extended summer stays. Alimony consisted of a single lump sum payment, severing all future financial ties. The arrangement was crisp, orderly, and unmistakably Michael's style. "Do your parents know?" Kate asked. "I'll tell them," Michael replied. "Don't worry, I won't speak ill of you. I'll simply say we grew apart and parted on good terms." Kate nodded and reached for the pen on the nightstand. Michael clearly hadn't anticipated such swift acceptance. The carefully rehearsed pleas and reassurances lodged uselessly in his throat. "Aren't you going to think it over?" he ventured. "Think over what?" Kate met his gaze evenly. "Think over how to reclaim a man who no longer loves me? Think over how to preserve a marriage that's already lifeless." Michael fell silent. Kate signed her name. clear, composed strokes. Then she looked up. Michael, I have only one request. Through the New Year's holiday, we behave exactly as usual in front of the children. After the holidays, we explain everything to them and file the paperwork. I refuse to ruin their celebration. Visible relief washed over his face. Of course, that's exactly what I had in mind. One more thing, Kate continued. During this period, please remain in the house. We'll keep sleeping in separate rooms, but nothing should seem out of the ordinary to Leo and Mia. I promise, he said. Kate handed him the signed agreement. Then we're done here. You should rest. We still have to drive to your parents tomorrow. Michael stood clutching the folder, clearly wanting to add something, but Kate had already turned away and begun smoothing the duvet, a quiet, unmistakable signal that the conversation was over. He said nothing more and left the room. Once the door clicked shut, Kate remained motionless for a long moment. Then she crossed to the closet, opened the bottom drawer, and lifted out the black journal. She turned to a fresh page and wrote, December 29th, 2025. He asked for a divorce. I signed. The plan is underway. The countdown has begun. She closed the notebook, returned it to its place, switched off the light, and slipped into bed. In the darkness, the faintest smile curved her lips. For 3 long years, this was the day she had awaited. On December 31st, New Year's Eve, Kate rose early and filled the house with quiet industry, stringing fairy lights, chilling champagne, chopping vegetables for the evening meal. True to their agreement, Michael was unusually attentive. While helping with the decorations, he even spoke to her unprompted. The left side is a bit crooked. Lift it a little higher, Kate directed. Their fingers brushed as he adjusted the strand. He jerked back as though burned. Kate, unruffled, simply said, There, perfect. In the family room, the children were deep in a board game, their laughter bright and unbroken. Festive noise drifted in from neighboring houses. The whole street hummed with anticipation. Mom, Grandma's calling, Mia announced, running over with the phone. Kate answered, Mom, Happy New Year's Eve. We'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Yes, we're having dinner here tonight. You two just come over whenever you're ready. Drive carefully. After hanging up, she glanced at Michael. He was hunched over his phone, brow furrowed, thumbs flying across the screen, undoubtedly composing excuses to the woman waiting elsewhere for his company tonight. Kate turned back to the kitchen. The knife rose and fell in steady rhythm against the cutting board. In her mind, she tallied silently. The accounting certification exam was 4 weeks away. She had already submitted resumes to 3 firms. A secret savings account held $15,000, accumulated painstakingly from household funds over the years. It wasn't a fortune, but it was worlds more than the nothing she had possessed 3 years earlier, when all she could do was weep and plead. At noon, her in-laws arrived. Michael's father, a retired history professor, and his mother, a lifelong homemaker, represented classic tradition. They had always approved of Kate, primarily because she kept an impeccable home and had delivered them a grandson and a granddaughter. Catherine, you've outdone yourself with all this food, her mother-in-law said, the compliments polite, but her eyes already sweeping the room for imperfections. My pleasure, Kate replied, smiling as she poured coffee. Dad, Mom, here you are. Where's Michael? Her father-in-law asked. He's finishing something in the office. He'll be right out. On cue, Michael appeared, slipping into the warm, dutiful son persona. Dad, Mom, you made it. Was traffic heavy? The family settled in the living room. Conversation drifted predictably across the children's school progress, Michael's work, and the latest family gossip. Kate moved quietly between kitchen and living room, offering drinks and appetizers, inserting a gentle comment here and there, every inch of the flawless daughter-in-law. She noticed the new bracelet on her mother-in-law's wrist. Elegant, expensive. Mom, that bracelet is stunning. Is it new? A pleased little smile crossed her mother-in-law's face. Michael gave it to me. Tiffany's, he said. Michael jumped in quickly, saw it on a recent business trip, and thought it would suit you perfectly. Kate nodded, smile unchanged, while inwardly she calculated easily several $1,000s. In 12 years, Michael had never bought her jewelry at that level. For her last birthday, he had ordered a sweater from Kohl's, on clearance, and presented it without ceremony. She said nothing, merely continued slicing apples and arranging the fruit platter. The New Year's Eve dinner was lavish: prime rib, creamy scalloped potatoes, roasted asparagus, a generous salad. Michael opened a bottle of red wine and poured a modest amount for each adult. "To our family," he said, raising his glass, "a happy new year, good health, peace, and all good things." Glasses clinked around the table. "Cheers." Kate watched the scene unfold and felt a sudden wave of absurdity. This family was unmistakably unraveling. Just 2 days earlier, this man had placed a divorce agreement before her, yet here they sat sharing a reunion dinner. Still, she smiled with perfect ease, serving her in-laws, slicing food for the children, refilling Michael's wine glass. Her performance was seamless, impeccable. After dinner, Michael played chess with his father while his mother watched New Year's Eve specials on television. Kate cleared the kitchen. The dishwasher's steady hum swallowed the laughter and chatter from the living room. Alone at the sink, she wiped the counters methodically. "Mom, I'll help," Mia said, rushing in. "No need, sweetheart. Go watch with Grandma." Kate gently patted her daughter's head. "I want to stay with you." Mia leaned against the counter. "Mom, you cooked so much today. Are you tired?" "Not tired," Kate replied. "As long as you're happy, Mom isn't tired." Half true. Exhaustion had become familiar. Genuine happiness had eluded her for years. Once the kitchen was spotless, Kate prepared a fruit platter and carried it out. Her mother-in-law was recounting her niece's story. "She's divorced with a child. It's so difficult. I always say women shouldn't divorce lightly. It's always the woman who suffers most." The remark was clearly aimed at Kate. In traditional eyes, a divorced homemaker without income was a failure. "You're right, Mom," Kate said calmly. "That's why women should have their own careers and never depend entirely on a man." Her mother-in-law blinked, caught off guard. Michael glanced over, his expression shifting with something unreadable. "Catherine makes a valid point," her father-in-law interjected, "but raising a family is important work too." Kate smiled and let the subject drop. She glanced at the clock. Nearly 1:30, almost time for the countdown. "I'll get the champagne ready," she said, rising. "I'll help." Michael stood and followed her to the kitchen. With the door closed, the small space held only the two of them. "What Mom said earlier, don't take it to heart," Michael murmured. "I won't." Kate began arranging glasses. "She's not wrong. Divorce is hard for a woman." Michael paused. "Kate, I know I've hurt you, but feelings can't be forced." "I understand." She placed the glasses on a tray. "You don't need to explain. I get it all." Her composure unsettled him. He had braced for tears, accusations, pleas. None had come. Kate accepted everything with the quiet of someone who had long prepared for this. "After the holidays, I'll file everything quickly. You'll get every cent and the house as promised." "Okay," Kate nodded. "Go back to your parents. I've got this." Michael lingered a few seconds, then left. Kate watched him go, a faint, cold smile touching her lips. He saw surrender. She knew it was strategy. At midnight, cheers erupted and fireworks lit the sky. On television, the ball dropped in Times Square. The children raced to the window to watch the neighborhood display. Her in-laws exchanged hugs and greetings. Michael produced red envelopes. "Leo, Mia, come get your New Year gifts." The children ran over, thanking him sweetly. "Happy New Year, Dad." "And here's yours, Catherine." He handed Kate an envelope. She accepted it. Average thickness, likely a few $100s, as in past years. "Thank you. Open it," he urged. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a small card. "For all you do." Kate understood. Conscience money. Payment for a quiet, trouble-free exit. "Thank you. It's too generous." She offered the check back. "Keep it." Michael closed her fingers around it. "You've had a hard time these years." His hand was warm. Hers felt only chill. She withdrew, slipped the check into her pocket. "Thank you." This gesture reassured him completely. He believed her acceptance of the money signaled acceptance of everything. He would never grasp that she wanted far more. At 2 a.m., after seeing off her in-laws and tucking the children in, the house fell silent. Michael finished washing up and hesitated. I'll still take the guest room. Good night." "Good night," Kate said. In the master bedroom, she did not sleep immediately. From the closet's depths, she retrieved a small fireproof box. Inside lay her documents: social security card, college diploma, professional certifications, passbooks, bank cards, everything she had quietly assembled. The diploma and certifications were her foundation, the accounts her escape. At the bottom rested a newly signed employment contract for an accountant position at a mid-sized firm, $65,000 annually. She would begin after the holidays. The company valued her decade of prior experience and fresh credentials, offering her a real chance. $65,000 a year might be what Michael spent on a single business trip, but for her, it marked the beginning of independence. She returned everything to its place, then checked her phone. In her study group chat, she had ranked top in the certification program's final exam. The instructor had messaged privately, "Interested in pursuing CPA licensure?" She replied, "Thank you, I'll consider it." Phone off, she lay down. Outside, fireworks had dwindled to occasional pops, the final echoes of this marriage. She closed her eyes. The past 3 years replayed. The shock of discovering Michael's affair, the despair of choosing endurance, the clarity of forming a plan, the quiet resolve of executing it. The hardest part was behind her. Now she needed only to follow through the final steps. Michael didn't return until 10 p.m. on New Year's Day, carrying the faint scent of alcohol and perfume. Kate sat in the living room reading. Without looking up, she asked, "Have you eaten?" "Yes," he said, a trace of guilt in his voice. "Client dinner. Couldn't avoid it." Kate turned a page. "The children are asleep." "Keep your voice down," Michael said, standing in the center of the room, studying her serene profile. An undefinable unease gripped him, stronger now than when she had signed the agreement so readily. None of the expected reactions had materialized. No tears, no demands, no negotiations. Kate remained composed, as though she had anticipated this moment for years, as though she had been waiting for it. "Kate," he began carefully, "let's talk." She closed the book and met his eyes. "Talk about what? The agreement is signed. What more is there?" "You," he said, choosing his words with care. "Can you really accept it?" Michael pressed, voice low. "I mean, the divorce, and the children going with me." Kate tilted her head slightly. "What am I supposed to do if I can't accept it? Cry? Beg you to stay? Would that actually change anything?" Michael opened his mouth, then closed it again, words failing him. "Michael, we've been married 12 years. I know exactly who you are." Kate rose from her chair and stepped closer. "Once you've made up your mind about something, you don't turn back. So why shouldn't I keep my dignity and preserve what little pride I have left?" The logic was sound, yet something still felt off to him. The woman standing before him was too composed, too clear-headed, nothing like the gentle, almost yielding wife he had lived with for over a decade. "As for the children," Kate continued before he could speak, "we stick to what we agreed. We tell them after the holidays. Until then, I expect you to cooperate. In front of Leo and Mia, everything should look normal, harmonious." "I will," Michael said quietly. "I promise." Kate gave a small nod and started toward the bedroom. After a few steps, she paused and turned back. "One more thing. Your parents. You handle the explanation yourself. I don't want to hear any whispers or sideways comments from them about me." "I won't let that happen. I'll take care of it." Kate closed the bedroom door with a soft click. Michael remained in the living room, rooted in place for a long while. He pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over Jessica's name, then slid the device back into his pocket. For reasons he couldn't quite name, he didn't want to make that call inside Kate's house. In the guest room, he lay awake, restless. Lately, he had noticed small shifts in Kate. She had started wearing makeup again, dressing with more care, taking an online course, occasionally meeting friends for dinner. At the time, he had welcomed it, proof she was building a life of her own, that she wouldn't cling too tightly when he eventually left. Now those same changes felt different, almost calculated. But he dismissed the thought almost immediately. How could Kate have planned for a divorce? She was a homemaker. Without him, she would be lost. He was overthinking. The next day was traditionally reserved for visiting one's own parents. Kate took the children to her family's home. Michael claimed a work obligation and stayed behind, precisely what Kate had hoped for. She needed private time with her parents. Her parents lived in the older part of town in a modest, immaculately kept house. Her father retired from his job as a factory accountant, and her mother, a former elementary school teacher, were straightforward, grounded people. "Why are you alone? Where's Michael?" her mother asked as soon as Kate set down the gifts. "He had something urgent at the office and couldn't make it." "Dad, Mom, I need to tell you something important." Her parents exchanged a quick, worried glance. Sensing the gravity, Kate sent Leo and Mia to play in the den, then closed the living room door. "What's wrong?" her mother asked, voice tight. "Michael wants a divorce. I've already signed the papers." Silence swallowed the room. The coffee cup in her father's hand trembled. Her mother's face drained of color. "Divorce?" she whispered. "Is there someone else?" "Yes, it started 3 years ago. I never said anything until now." "That's impossible," her mother breathed. "Michael always seemed so proper, so decent." "People change, Mom." Kate reached for her mother's hand. "Please don't get upset. Let me explain everything." She recounted the past 3 years, discovering the affair, the perfume on his shirts, the late-night texts and weekend emergencies. She described confronting him, his denials, her decision to stay silent for the children's sake. She spoke of the divorce agreement she had signed 2 days earlier. Deliberately, she left out her own quiet preparations, framing it only as something she had been forced to accept. "That bastard," her father muttered, fists clenched. "I'll go speak to him right now." "No, Dad, please don't." Kate gently restrained him. It would accomplish nothing. His heart left this family long ago. Forcing him to stay would only make everything worse. "Then what about you?" her mother asked, tears spilling over. "And the children? You haven't worked outside the home in years. How will you manage?" "I have a plan." Kate's voice remained steady. "The house stays in my name, and he's paying me $100,000. I start a new job next week, an accounting position at $65,000 a year." Her parents stared, stunned. "You already have a job?" her father asked. "Yes, I signed the contract before Christmas. I start right after the holidays," offering a small smile. "Dad, I finally put to use everything you taught me about accounting when I was younger." Tears glistened in her father's eyes. Years ago, he had urged her to pursue accounting, believing it offered security and independence. When she married and became a full-time mother, he had quietly regretted that she never followed through. "Good," he said hoarsely, nodding again and again. "That's good. With a job, you'll be all right." "But the children," Kate's voice softened. "I've given up custody." Her mother's agitation flared again. "How could you give up your own children? They're part of you." "Mom, what choice did I have?" Kate's smile was tinged with bitterness. "No job, no income. Any judge would have awarded them to him anyway. Better to negotiate favorable terms now than lose everything later." She paused, letting the words settle. "It's only temporary. Once I'm stable, steady income, my own place, I'll petition for custody again. The law allows modifications when circumstances change." The room grew quiet once more. Her parents understood the reasoning, even if their hearts rebelled against it. "You've suffered so much, sweetheart," her father said, resting a heavy hand on her shoulder. "I wish I could have done more, given you more support so you wouldn't have to endure this alone." "Dad, don't." Kate shook her head. "This was my choice. I'll carry the consequences. All I ask is your support. Please don't confront Michael. Don't give him any ammunition. This society is already hard enough on divorced women, especially ones who've been out of the workforce." After a long moment, her parents nodded. They ached for their daughter, but they also recognized that drama would only hurt her more. At lunch, the children were bright and carefree, blissfully unaware of the difficult conversation that had just taken place. Kate peeled shrimp for them, served her parents, and moved through the meal with the same calm attentiveness she had always shown. On the surface, nothing had changed. Beneath it, everything already had. Only her mother occasionally dabbed at a tear, which Kate silenced with a quiet glance. After lunch, she took the children to the nearby park. Winter had stripped the trees bare, but the sun shone clear and bright. Leo and Mia raced across the grass, while Kate sat on a bench, watching them with steady eyes. "Mom, are you unhappy?" Mia ran back and wrapped her small arms around Kate's legs. "No, sweetheart. Mom is very happy." Kate brushed a gentle hand across her daughter's cheek. "But you're not smiling," Mia observed. Kate curved her lips into a deliberate smile. "That's fake," Mia pouted. "Mom, did you and Dad fight?" Children's intuition cuts deeper than adults ever expect. Kate's chest tightened, but her voice stayed even. "No, we're fine. Mom's just been a little tired lately." "Then you should rest more." Mia pressed closer. "When I grow up, I'll help with all the housework so Mom never gets tired again." The words pierced straight through. Kate's eyes stung. She pulled Mia into a fierce hug, breathing in the clean, sweet smell of her child, this little person she had carried for 9 months. How could she bear to let go? Yet she must. A brief parting now was the price of a lasting reunion later. "Mia, promise Mommy one thing," Kate whispered. "What?" "No matter what happens in the future, remember that Mommy will always love you, and Leo too, always and forever." Mia nodded solemnly, half understanding, half trusting. "I'll always love you too, Mommy." Kate pressed a kiss to her forehead. Strength flooded back into her. For these children, she would endure anything. She would succeed. On the drive home, her phone buzzed with a message from the attorney. "Some evidence secured. Hotel records, credit card statements. Still need more direct proof." "Continue," Kate typed back. "Everything must be airtight by the end of the week." The city slid past the window, a place she had called home for 12 years. Today, it felt foreign, and that was fitting. A stranger city was the perfect place to begin again. From January 3rd through the 7th, the household routine continued unchanged. Michael left early and returned late. Kate maintained the role of devoted wife and attentive mother. Yet Michael grew increasingly unsettled. Kate's calm was absolute, too absolute. It unnerved him. On the evening of the 8th, after the children were asleep, he knocked on the master bedroom door. "Kate, can we talk?" She set her book aside and removed her reading glasses. "Talk about what again?" "You. What are your plans after the divorce?" "Find a job, start over. Otherwise, I'll go broke." Her tone was matter-of-fact. "That's not what I meant." Michael stepped inside and perched on the edge of the bed. "If you need help, references, job leads—" "No need," she cut in. "I can handle it." He studied her then. Really looked. It wasn't her appearance that had changed, it was her gaze. The softness, the faint timidity that once defined her eyes had sharpened into something resolute and unyielding. "Kate, do you hate me?" She gave a short, quiet laugh. "Hate is exhausting. No, Michael, I don't hate you. I'm disappointed in you and even more in myself for staying blind so long." The words landed harder than anger ever could. His expression flickered. "I know. I'm sorry. No explanations necessary." Kate's voice remained level. "We've signed the papers. Soon we'll have no legal tie. Emotionally, we have none for years, so there's really nothing left to explain." The distance in her tone left him hollow. He stood. "Get some rest then." At the door, he paused. "Kate, whatever happens, I hope you'll be okay." "I will be. I definitely will." The door closed. Kate reached for her phone and messaged the attorney. He's starting to sense something. Accelerate. Also trace recent large transfers, especially to her. The reply came quickly. Working on it. Side note, the shareholding change you asked about has traction. 6 months ago, he moved 10% of his company shares to a shell entity. The legal rep is Jessica's younger brother. Kate's eyes narrowed. Infidelity was one thing, concealing marital assets was another. The original settlement, house plus $100,000, suddenly looked far too modest. She typed back, gather everything, share transfer records, bank statements, communications. I need the full package by this weekend. She set the phone down and walked to the window. The night was deep, broken only by scattered lights and distant high-rises. She remembered the night 3 years ago when she first uncovered the affair, how she had locked herself in the bathroom and sobbed till dawn, convinced her world had ended. Now, standing in the same house, she felt only calm certainty. People grow when they have no choice. Gentleness survives when there is someone to lean on. Strength emerges when there is no one left. Kate had run out of people to lean on, so she became strong. On Friday, January 10th, she prepared a generous dinner as always. Michael arrived home on time. At the table, he announced, "Tomorrow night, let's go out as a family. I've reserved a table at that nice place downtown." The children cheered. Kate met his eyes across the plates. "Why the sudden outing?" she asked lightly. "It's the weekend," he said. "Thought it would be special, and we may not get many more chances like this." The subtext was clear. One last performance of the intact family before everything unraveled. Perhaps for his conscience, perhaps for the children's memories. "Sounds good," Kate agreed. She had plans of her own. After tomorrow, the script would change entirely. Tonight could serve as their final family meal. Later, after the children were in bed, Michael knocked again. "Still awake?" she asked. "I want to talk to them tomorrow night, after dinner. It's time we told them about the divorce." Kate nodded. "All right, but I want to be there too." "Of course." He paused. "Kate, thank you for cooperating these past few weeks." She offered only a small nod in reply. The door closed. Kate remained still for a long moment, then turned back to the darkness beyond the window. Tomorrow, the mask would drop for all of them. "No need to thank me," Kate said quietly. "I'm doing this for the children too." Michael lingered in the doorway, words caught somewhere between apology and regret. In the end, he managed only, "Get some rest. Good night." "Good night." Kate closed the door and leaned against it for a long moment. Tomorrow, the old life would end, and a new one would finally begin. She retrieved the black journal from its hiding place, flipped to the final page, and wrote, January 10th, 2026. Ready. New life tomorrow. She closed the notebook, slipped it into her purse. For 3 years, this small book had been the silent witness to her pain, her plans, her quiet resolve. After tomorrow, it would belong to the past. The next evening, Kate prepared with deliberate care. She chose a tailored charcoal pantsuit, sharp, professional, commanding. Light makeup, hair pulled into a sleek ponytail. The woman in the mirror bore no resemblance to the soft-spoken homemaker Michael had known for 12 years. She looked like someone who belonged in boardrooms. When Michael saw her, he paused mid-step. "Wow, where are you headed dressed like that?" "Can't I dress up?" Kate replied evenly. "No, it's just a little formal for dinner." "Today is important," she said, the words carrying layered meaning. "It deserves to look the part." Michael assumed she meant the difficult conversation ahead with the children. He didn't press further. He had no idea how differently she defined important. At 6 o'clock, the family left for the restaurant, a sleek, upscale steakhouse with a private dining room Michael had reserved. The children were thrilled. Such places were rare treats. Michael ordered generously, the kids' favorites, a premium Cabernet for the table. He poured Kate a glass. "Special occasion," he said with a small smile. "Have a little." She accepted without protest. A sip or two would steady her. She was ready, but even preparation couldn't erase every trace of nerves. Halfway through the meal, Michael set down his fork and cleared his throat. Leo, Mia, Dad has something important to tell you. The children looked up, curious. Mom and I, he glanced at Kate, then continued. We've decided to separate. From now on, Mom and Dad won't be living together anymore. Silence blanketed the room. Leo spoke first, voice small but clear. You're getting a divorce? The word sounded impossibly large coming from an 8-year-old. Kate's heart clenched, yet her face remained composed. Yes, Michael answered, the syllable heavy. But don't worry, we both love you very much. We just won't live in the same house anymore. Why? Mia's eyes filled instantly with tears. Michael faltered, searching for gentle words that didn't exist. Because your father has fallen in love with someone else, Kate said calmly, stepping into the silence. He has a new life outside our family now. He doesn't want us anymore. The statement landed like a detonation. Michael's face drained of color. Kate, what the hell are you doing? Am I wrong? She reached into her purse and placed a manila folder on the table in front of him. These are your hotel records with Jessica, starting 3 years ago. 47 stays. Would you like me to read the dates aloud for the children? Michael snatched the folder, hands shaking, as he flipped through pages of irrefutable proof. You investigated me? Of course. Kate produced a second set of documents. Credit card statements. Last year alone, you spent over $5,000 on gifts for her. She tapped the final page. And this, 6 months ago, you transferred 10% of your company shares to a shell company whose legal representative is Jessica's younger brother. The estimated value of those shares today is $1.2 million. With each revelation, Michael's complexion paled further. The children stared, bewildered and frightened, sensing the storm but not understanding its shape. Kate, let's step outside and discuss this, Michael said, voice unsteady. Why outside? She remained seated. The children deserve the truth. You wanted a divorce, I agreed, but not on your terms. She drew one final document from her purse and slid it across the table. This is my divorce agreement. The house remains mine. You return the full value of the fraudulently transferred shares, $1.2 million. You pay $200,000 in damages for emotional distress and infidelity, and full custody of the children goes to me. You're out of your mind, he hissed. On what grounds? On these, she gestured towards the evidence. Adultery, concealment and fraudulent transfer of marital assets, attempted deception of both me and the children. Submit this package to a judge, Michael. See how the ruling goes. See how your investors and board react when the story breaks, right as you're closing your next funding round. Michael sank back into his chair, sweat glistening on his forehead. For the first time, he truly saw her, not the compliant wife he had taken for granted, but a woman who had spent 3 years preparing for exactly this moment. You knew all along? I knew 3 years ago. I stayed silent because I had no job, no income, no way to support the children alone. That's no longer true. She turned to Leo and Mia, softening her voice. Sweethearts, Mommy has to tell you, Daddy made some big mistakes. He won't be living with us anymore, but Mommy wants you both very much. Mommy is going to work hard and give you a good, safe home. Would you like to live with Mommy? Tears streamed down Mia's face. She threw herself into Kate's arms. I want Mommy. I want Mommy. Leo hesitated only a second before crossing to Kate and wrapping his arms around her. Me too. I want to stay with you. Kate held them close, her own tears falling at last, not from defeat, but from release, from triumph. Michael watched the three of them, suddenly an outsider in the family he had inhabited for 12 years. The people he assumed would always be his had just chosen otherwise. Kate, we can negotiate the terms. There's nothing left to negotiate. She wiped her eyes. Sign the agreement or we go to court, the evidence becomes public, and your professional life ends alongside your personal one. Choose. He knew she wasn't bluffing. A scandal now would torpedo the company's funding round. His career, his reputation, everything hung in the balance. His hand shook as he picked up the pen. When he signed, something inside him fractured irreparably. Kate collected the signed pages, then placed one additional document before him. This is the supplementary agreement. $3,000 per month in child support until both children finish college. Visitation is once weekly by advance appointment and my approval only. Numb, he signed again. That's all, Kate said. You can leave now. The children are coming home with we tonight. I'll take them to school on Monday. Michael rose slowly. He looked at his son and daughter. Mia, Leo, Daddy. Mia buried her face in Kate's shoulder, refusing to meet his eyes. Leo stared back with a mixture of hurt and quiet anger. Kate cut in, gently but firmly. Let's go. Don't upset them more. Michael gave them one last lingering look, then turned and walked out of the private room, out of their lives. The door closed behind him. Kate held her children a little tighter. For the first time in 3 years, the weight on her chest had lifted. The future, uncertain as it still was, belonged to them now. The moment the private room door closed behind Michael, Kate pulled Leo and Mia into her arms and let the tears come. Deep, cleansing sobs of complete release. For the first time in 3 years, the weight she had carried alone dissolved into something lighter, something possible. The next morning, she rose earlier than usual. She mixed pancake batter, sliced fruit, brewed coffee. When the children stumbled into the kitchen, their eyes still puffy from the night before, the smell of vanilla and butter greeted them. "Mom, are we moving today?" Leo asked, climbing onto his stool. "Soon," Kate answered. "We'll stay in the old house a little longer until I find the right place. But starting today, Dad won't be living with us anymore." Mia stared at her plate. "I miss Dad already," she whispered. Kate knelt beside her daughter's chair and drew her close. "I know, baby. It's okay to miss him. When you want to talk to him or see him, you can call, or he'll visit on weekends. But from now on, Mommy will be the one who takes care of you every day." "Okay." Mia nodded against Kate's shoulder. "Mom, will you always stay with us?" Leo asks quietly. "Always." Kate kissed the top of his head, then Mia's. "No matter what." After dropping them at a friend's house for a play date, Kate drove to her attorney's office. Sarah had everything ready. "The divorce decree is notarized. Here's your certified copy." She slid the folder across the desk. "Custody modification is in process, should be finalized within a week. Michael's being remarkably cooperative." "He wasn't frightened," Kate said as she signed the acknowledgement form. "He simply calculated the cost of going to court and chose the option that preserved the most for himself." Sarah studied her for a moment. "You're the calmest client I've ever had, Kate. Most women in your position would have broken down, screamed, begged. You gathered evidence for 3 years and waited for the perfect moment." "Crying doesn't move the world forward," Kate replied. "The world may pity the weak for a moment, but it only respects the strong. I didn't want pity. I wanted respect." After leaving the office, she viewed an apartment in a quiet complex near the children's school. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 900 square feet. Small, but flooded with southern light. Clean lines, a modest balcony overlooking trees instead of traffic. She signed the lease application on the spot. "I'll come back tomorrow with the deposit and first month's rent," she told the agent. The decisiveness surprised the woman, but Kate had already done the math. The divorce settlement gave her enough for a down payment on a condo eventually, but renting let her move quickly, sever ties cleanly, and begin building fresh memories untainted by the past. Monday morning, she walked into her new office. Colleagues welcomed her warmly. Her manager, a sharp woman in her mid-40s named Elena, reviewed Kate's credentials with genuine interest. "Stay-at-home mom until recently?" Elena asked. "Yes, but I never stopped studying." Kate cast over her certification transcripts and diploma. She scanned them, then smiled. "We need exactly this: experience, maturity, hunger. Work hard here, and the path upward is wide open." Kate was assigned to the finance team. The tasks were familiar, yet invigorating. She attacked them with focus she hadn't felt in years. At lunch, her new colleagues asked the usual questions. When family came up, she answered plainly, "I'm newly divorced, 2 children, 8 and 6. No awkward silence followed. Instead, quiet admiration. "You're incredible," a younger coworker said. "If I ever had to do that, I'd fall apart." "You don't fall apart when you have no choice," Kate replied with a small smile. "You just keep moving. Though, if I could choose, I'd still want a happy marriage. Some things simply aren't possible anymore." The following Saturday, Michael arrived to help with the move. He looked drawn, quieter than she had ever seen him, but he carried boxes without complaint. The children lit up when they saw him, trailing him like eager shadows. "Daddy, will you visit us a lot?" Mia asked, clinging to his leg. "Every week," he promised, lifting her high. "I'll always come when you want me." Kate let them have their time. She focused on taping boxes, labeling, directing the movers. At noon, she ordered pizza. The 4 of them ate on the floor of the still empty living room. The mood was careful, almost gentle. Awkward in places, but not hostile. When Michael prepared to leave, Kate walked him to the door. He paused on the threshold. "Kate, I'm sorry, and thank you for letting today happen without making it harder." "Don't thank me," she said. "Just be consistent for them. Show up when you say you will. Pay support on time. Respect our boundaries. That's the apology that matters." He nodded once, then left. Kate closed the door and felt the final click of something locking into place. 12 years ended, not in fireworks or fury, but in quiet, deliberate closure. "Mom, is this our home now?" Leo asked from the hallway. "Yes, this is ours." The children ran to her. The 3 of them stood in the center of the bare living room, holding each other tightly. In that moment, the space felt vast and safe and entirely theirs. That night, Kate read them a story in their new beds. They fell asleep quickly, small smiles lingering even in sleep. She returned to the living room, opened her laptop, and created a simple blog, 35 and starting over. Her first post was honest, raw but not bitter. She wrote about the marriage that slowly eroded, the 3 years of silent preparation, the restaurant confrontation, the new beginning. She ended with 3 quiet truths. When marriage becomes a cage, letting go is freedom. Relinquishing custody temporarily is not surrender. It's sometimes the wisest way to protect your children long term. A true woman's real security is never a ring on her finger. It's the ability to stand on your own. She published it, closed the laptop, and stepped onto the small balcony. City lights glittered in the distance. The night air was cool against her skin, but inside she felt only warmth. Her phone vibrated. Her mother. "Katie, everything go smoothly today?" "Very smooth, Mom. We're settled." A small, choked sound. "I'm so proud of you." "I'm proud of me, too," Kate said, and meant it. Later, the phone rang again. Michael's name appeared on the screen. She answered, but stayed silent. "Kate," his voice was raw, exhausted. "You won. Completely. But I have to ask, did you ever really love me? Were those 12 years just an act?" She let the question hang for a long time. "I loved you," she said at last, "deeply, more than I knew how to say. But love gets used up, Michael. It gets betrayed. You stopped loving first. You broke the trust first. All I did was protect what was left, myself and our children." A muffled sob came through the line. Once, that sound would have torn her apart. Now it only underscored the distance between them. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I don't need sorry. I need you to be a reliable father. Call the children, visit when you're scheduled, pay what you owe, don't disrupt our peace. That's the apology that means anything." She ended the call and blocked his number. Back inside, she paused at the children's doors. Soft nightlights glowed through the cracks, warm, steady beacons. She closed her own bedroom door, glanced at the nightstand, professional certifications, work badge, a framed photo of the 3 of them laughing at the park last summer. Kate lay down and switched off the lamp. Tomorrow would bring another early alarm, another day of work, another small step forward. Challenges would come, she knew that, but fear no longer lived in her chest. She was no longer the dependent wife waiting for permission to live. She was Kate, 35, single mother, accountant, woman rebuilding from the foundation up, and she liked this version of herself very much. When marriage becomes a cage, freedom begins the moment you walk out the door. Relinquishing custody for a season is not surrender. It can sometimes be strategy, buying time to become the parent your children deserve long term. True confidence never comes from a shared bank account or a wedding band. It comes from knowing with absolute certainty that you can stand, provide, protect, and thrive on your own. She closed her eyes and for the first time in years, slept without dreams of escape. Tomorrow was waiting. She was ready.